Yo, what's going on, YouTube? We are back with another My Team podcast. It's been a long time since I've done one of these with my partner in crime, Harry. Want to first and foremost introduce him. Harry, welcome back. It has been so long. How's everything? How are you?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's good to be back on the podcast. I say it every time, but it really is. It's funny, this whole podcast, little do our viewers know, it's probably, we started texting, like not even an hour ago.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, what would be a good day to do this? And we kind of figured today, within like the hour, would be probably the best time. So yeah, it's good to be back. We haven't done a My Team video since, I want to say like right after All-Star Weekend. And
Yep.
ironically, I felt like that was like the start of the dominoes falling of 2K just crumbling into what the game has turned into right now.
Definitely.
I want to preface. Normally, sometimes I'll be very angry in these podcasts, and I go on these crazy rants. I mean, it's been so bad. I think for so long. I'm not even angry. It's just whatever. It's what the game is. So if we did this right after everything started happening, it'd be a much different tone. But I mean, it's been so bad for so like insanely bad that I don't think I ever could have. I don't think Jan or us, as much as we can be pessimistic at times about the game, I don't think we ever could have seen the game going this, direction.
Yeah, I mean, I was about to see. So the All-Star weekend, right? The first All-Star event related content that we got was Friday, February the 16th. We're recording this on what is this? Tuesday, April 23rd, right? Today's a
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yep.
So just very quick math here. So it has been since that weekend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. So it's been 10 weeks of Friday
Wow.
content being basically special insert only for the premium cards. So yeah, I don't know. Has it really been 10 weeks since our last podcast? Is that true? I should have looked this up.
Maybe, yeah, because I think I went home that weekend. I was home for All-Star Weekend, and then probably like that Monday or Tuesday, we probably recorded it. So yeah, maybe around there.
Wow. So I guess, I want to give you the floor here, Harry. As we just mentioned, it's been 10 weeks since we've last recorded a podcast for my team. Where do you stand on the game mode as a whole in 2K24?
Yeah, I think the best way I can put it is I remember I mentioned this last podcast, but I think with All Star Weekend, like right before that whole event, I remember maybe I guess even in the podcast before that, I was talking about how much goodwill 2K had with the fans who were playing the game. I think I even at one point said that this could be the best Ultimate Team mode in like ever. Like right now, currently it's better than Madden, better than MLB, better than all those games because it was doing such a good job of rewarding us. I mean, look at Jan. He's had like 4 or 5 million coins for so long because we kept getting so many players to grind
Yeah.
for, and we were getting great promos and the way they were restructuring the mode where instead of yeah, you got to grind this mode and this mode and this mode. Okay, you can pick and choose what you want to get the reward. And I was, everything was so great. And then I remember All Star Weekend came along, and we weren't. It was like maybe like Wednesday, and All Star Weekend is on Friday. And I remember you texted me. You were worried. You're like, "Hey, like, isn't it weird that we haven't heard anything yet? Like, we're supposed to get like a big promo reveal. Like, how aren't we getting anything to do?" And I said to you, Jen, 2K has done such a great job of building up this goodwill with the fan base that for the first time, I'm not worried. I think 2K will. They're gonna figure it out. It's gonna be good. And then all of a sudden they didn't. And then we kept waiting and waiting, and it never got better. And I was like, I think that was the first sign. I was, it was heading into a direction, and I made the point that that goodwill is starting to break down. And I think now where we're at now, it's like broken, completely gone. Like they've gone into such a greedy and disgusting route of playing the game that I have no faith whatsoever. I mean, this is pretty much how it's going to be all season, and I don't see how they're going to recover. Like they're making good money now, but it's like I don't know how anyone could confidently want to play this game next year because everything they're doing now are basically going completely against what they said in the blog, like what they were gonna do, whether making players accessible for us, making all these different things. So even if they bring back the auction house, even if they do this and that, like what how can we trust that this is gonna just turn into this again? It's ridiculous. I mean, the fact that the player market it's pretty much useless. Like you can't buy players from it. So it's like the only players that you can really get on your team are pretty much from these free agendas with like mediocre players. Like, yeah, like it's oh my God, you okay?
No, I'm
What?
good. Sorry, that was very loud. Holy moly.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I
I have
didn't
to
know if you
learn
were
to
again.
not slam my glass on the table when my mic is on. Please go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
didn't know if you were disagreeing with my takes, but
It's bull crap.
yeah, but it's ridiculous, and like it's like Ty Debo, as much as Jan and I like to make fun of the content creation on 2K, he brought up a good point where it's like it's one thing for 2K to want to make money. You know, we see every year what ways are they going to find to make as much money as they can. But when they're breaking the mission of the game and they're exploiting that and they're completely just erasing that to make their money, that's when it's a problem. Like the whole point of my team is to build a team of players that you want on your team. It could be anyone. You could say, "Oh, it'd be cool for Michael Jordan and LeBron to play on the same team, or Kobe and whoever." Just making fun teams. They've completely taken away any sense of freedom that you can have to build your team, which is like just horrendous. Like the fact that you pretty much have to do a gamble and hope to God by doing these like sets, to get the dark matter you want it's like ridiculous. It's like there's no freedom. You're just hoping to get the player, or even taking a step back. The fact that there are 100 overalls that you can't even get at all without spending money on it is like it's just ridiculous. And I don't care if you make the argument that 10% of players have these 100 overalls, whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's like it makes me not want to play at all, knowing that there are cards that aren't accessible to me because I'm not spending money on the game. So, and that it's like I feel bad also because I mentioned a couple podcasts ago how happy I was that I didn't quit my team, something I normally do all year. Because Jan, this is most likely, yeah, it's definitely his last year playing
Yeah.
2K. So I really wanted to stick it out because it's always fun doing the podcast and speaking to him about it and playing him. But I just, like, it's such a waste of time. I see it. Like, I can't, and then nothing against people who are still playing. Like, Jan still plays every now and then. Great. But, like, I can't force myself to get on when like MT is useless. Like why I have 3 million on my account, Jan is like 5 million at this point probably. Why have that MTs just so I can, do these random lock-ins and hope to God I get the player I want? Like
Yeah,
it's
that's what I did
just
on Friday. Or on
yeah, you got
Saturday, I guess.
Booker. I would have been happy with the Booker, but
I'm
like
gonna happy
still
with Booker too, but
it's like I'm shocked like how bad it's again they broke the mission down. Now there's no freedom. MT is useless, the player market is stupid. So I'm not gonna force myself to get on and grind these agendas for 99 Curry or whatever, knowing that someone else wherever is gonna have these 100 overalls and are gonna have these 99s that are inaccessible to people like us. Like when you shift so towards the money spenders and you make it so it's practically unplayable for to have because I think the whole point of no money spent, and I think I remember complaining about this when we were getting a free Tracy McGrady. I don't think we should just be getting free cards, you know what I mean, that are amazing. We shouldn't get a free 100 overall LeBron or whatever, because that's not fun. It should be a challenge for a no money spent team to get a player. But when you not only when you go beyond a challenge and you make it impossible, it's impossible for a no money spent to have a 100 overall LeBron, to have a 100, which is so dumb, and that's a whole different 100 overalls in general are dumb. But when you make it impossible and no longer a challenge, that's when I don't want to play anymore. So it's sad. And I really don't see them coming back from this. I'm very interested next year because you can make the argument that, 2K, at the snap of their fingers, it can go back to normal. They made their money and they could just give us the players. I really don't think that people are going to just forget about this. I think if they had a good opportunity to do this for maybe a month, and then all right, they 2 months, 1 month, they made their money, but it's gone on. It's been 10 weeks of this. It's been going on for so long that I think they've gone too far. Like, because no matter what they say in the blog, how are you gonna believe it? How can you get excited about anything? Because I guarantee you, this will be the same thing next year. As soon as they need the money and their cash cow game mode isn't getting them the money, oh no! Even if they do give an auction house, we're just not gonna do that. We're just gonna hold the players and do this again. So it's sad. Like I want to be able to play it and have fun, but like they made it very hard. Like why would I get on and play? Like I don't care about these agendas compared to like we're like what 3 tiers behind right now. Pink diamonds are like in the player market or maybe opals are, but they're
yeah, we're getting
100
opals in the
overalls.
player market now.
There's 9 and these are mid-tier opals. These aren't even the all-star opals that came out in February that we should have had a while. Like it's ridiculous. So like it's sad. Like I want to get excited, but like I can't. They've turned it into such a terrible. Um, yeah, I think even the police they're coming. They
I
think
know
it's
they're
such a bad
coming.
game mode. But
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I'm just rambling, but it's like they've never gone this low, and it's gone. And I like I said, I'll bring it full circle. A few podcasts ago, I said that this was. You can argue, you can make the case that this is the best current Ultimate Team mode. There's no argument that you can make that would convince me that this isn't the worst Ultimate Team mode right now.
yeah,
Any at Madden, MLB, FIFA, whatever. At least you have the freedom. I don't care what else
correct.
is going on in the game. At least you have the autonomy to make your team because that's what Ultimate Team mode is about. So it's sad, but they've done this to themselves. This is my last year on 2K in general. And see, I'm not playing it all right now. I was telling Jen before, mate, I'm sure we will do more videos, even if we do co-op or rec or something like that, because it's fun to play with your friends. But like, the days of me getting on and grinding are probably done. Like, I'm just gonna have 2.5, 3 million on my account for no reason now. But yeah, that's about it. So I don't know if you have any thoughts or anything. Because yeah, the Taidibo comment about the freedom, I think that's the best way to put it. Like they broke down the mission to exploit, to make money, and that's when you've just gone too far.
Yeah, because I mean, the one thing about my team in years past with the auction house was there was always a price for every card that was out there in the game. And whether it was, I don't know how many, how much MT you needed to spend to get certain cards like, certain Yao Mings or Bol Bols in the past, who I'm sure have gone for 3 million plus MT. But at least you knew that you could, if you were able to
Yes.
get enough MT, grind to get that card. And maybe not necessarily grind. I know you could go out to a third party site and buy the MT, but it feels like MT is completely useless now. And the one thing that I think Harry and I always have, I don't even think it's like it's a debate about, because Harry was mentioning how if you're not spending money, you're not getting these cards necessarily. Even if you spend money, you're not guaranteed to get these cards.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is incredibly unfortunate. I still feel like, I know we're 10 weeks in and now nothing is going to change. I still feel like what they should have done is put all the dark matters, every card that's not a 100 overall, in the player market, and then just leave the 100 overalls as, if you're bold enough to rip packs, well, that can be the white rabbit that you choose to chase. Um, why else? Like, why would you even bother marketing these 100 overalls and dark matters? Like, I'm showing the cards that we got this most recent Friday with a 100 overall point guard eligible LeBron, and then dark matters such as the aforementioned Devin Booker, who I got from the lock-in, Michael Jordan, you have a Jason Tatum, you have a Bull, but the cards that you can guarantee yourself to get on the top end are Galaxy Opal, Arvidas Sabonis, JJ Redick, and
Yep.
Scoot Henderson. Those latter three cards, I don't think they excite anybody. So I'm totally with you, Harry, on those points. Like, this is incredibly frustrating. I want to go back to an earlier point that you made, because I really wanted to let you get everything off your chest. Just to remind everybody of where we were at as a community with content in my team, right before the like leading up to the All Star event. The All Star debacle with the first 100 overall Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We had obviously the Chinese New Year's with the Yao Ming that was really bad. That was
Yeah.
our last like traditional 2K24 set where you were able to buy every card from the player market and then lock in the collection for Yao Ming should you want Yao Ming, even though he was, for all intents and purposes, a pretty terrible card.
Yeah. You
Um,
can even shoot the ball. We were holding our MT for that, and it turned out to be a nothing.
I
Like.
know, which is so crazy. And I mean, you could have still just grinded the game, because I think in the last month leading up to us getting that Chinese New Year's set, and the subsequent week being All-Star weekend, you were able to basically grind for a pink diamond Chet Holmgren, a pink diamond Joel Embiid, a pink diamond Luka Doncic, just by logging into the MyTeam mobile app. If you remember, Harry, we were able to
Yeah.
get the Tyrese
Very
Halliburton.
Halliburton. Yep.
Yeah, which is great. So 2 point guards who I think were pretty good. And then Embiid, he's still a really good center. Whenever I do match up against him in Clutch Time Online, he still causes me problems. He's causing the Knicks problems in real life. So like it was really good. We had some really good content, and the path to All Star content. I mean, it wasn't very exciting because Jason Richardson's Pink Diamond wasn't really all that great, but there were some really fun cards in there along the way. Whenever I do play salary cap, George, not George Gervin. Um, well, it could be George Gervin. There's some diamond that I'm blanking on, like diamond shooting guard, small forward, who I use from that grind, I believe, in salary cap, and they do really well for me. So there was a really good stretch of time there where I think a lot of people, such as Harry, myself, I think general content creators were saying that this is, a great time to be playing my team because, you can grind to get the cards you want. If you have the MT, you can buy players in the player market and lock in for the lock-in player that you want, even though it's not great that lock-in cards are cards that we want. Guys like Giannis, LeBron,
Yeah,
Steph
and to
Curry.
even add on, they were also improving. They were doing a good job of not doing as many lock-ins. You know what I mean?
Correct, yeah.
Like they were answering. They were looking at our feedback and making corrections. And I was probably getting on every day to grind for the what was it, the Hakeem and all like that. I mean, that was a season before. What was the next season? It was what was the
Was
player
it
to
Larry
get for?
Bird?
Yeah, I got the Larry Bird. Like it was such a fun season. Like our teams were constantly evolving just from playing the game, which was great while they were still putting in players that were equally as fun. Like I remember at that time I got a KD, I was getting all these different cards and it's like wow, it's sorry I keep going, but it's insane how quickly we've dropped from that to this.
I know, no, I mean, it's totally fine. I mean, I want your opinion too. This is like mainly about, your experiences because like I'm still playing the game mode. I'm definitely playing the game mode much less. Like, for example, today, third week that we've gotten bold content and we go Steph Curry Dark Matter, Bill Russell Dark Matter, and now we're back to point guards again, John
Yeah.
Morant. Like, no one wants John Morant. One of the agendas for today in the video I covered earlier this morning includes getting 53 pointers in unlimited. That is one game mode I am probably not going to touch for the rest of the year unless there's an agenda related to me getting a player who I really want. I don't want John Morant. Like, unless they give John Morant a gun in the game, I don't want him on my team. You know.
Yeah, and I see that. I remember there was a time where every video I saw your account, I was like, wow, Jan is making MT quick. Like, I think you went from like 3 mil to like the 4.5 or whatever in such a quick time. Like, every video you were getting more and more
Yeah.
MT. And I feel like the last like couple months, you've kind of been stagnating. I've noticed you've been making MT slower. You haven't been playing as much. And like, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
It's, what was I going to say? It's,
Well,
it's,
think why, right? Because ever since All Star Weekend, unless you're ripping packs and getting lucky, there has been some solid grindable content to start season 6. But outside of that kind of grindable content, in terms of the content we're getting on Friday, which is lackluster to put it very nicely, there really is no way to upgrade your team. I mean, DBG put out a pretty solid tweet the other day, and I don't really agree with a lot of what DBG says, and I don't think Harry does either. But he said something along the lines of, if you're a MyTeam content creator right now, it's so difficult to produce quality content. And then when he talked about the no money spent players, for this season, all no money spent basically is, in my opinion, well, in his opinion, in my opinion, is you're doing the bold agendas that we get every Tuesday, because bold is just rushed from season 5, reskinned for season 6. And then maybe to add on to what DBG said in his tweet, maybe you're just grinding MT from playing unlimited and other game modes, and then locking
yeah.
in the Galaxy Opals and Pink Diamonds in the player market, and you hope to get a card that you want. Like, you could have very feasibly spent 500 and whatever it is, 540k MT on the Galaxy Opals that I mentioned from the Gladiator collection and the Pink Diamonds, and gotten, Patrick Ewing, or you could have gotten Michael Jordan, whose jump shot is apparently still broken even on the Dark Matter. So it just sucks that you could spend all that MT and it's still a gamble. And it's like, what 2K is basically saying is, if you want to get these Dark Matters, you can either gamble by ripping packs or gamble by spending your MT on the players that are not the Dark Matters in the collection and locking it in. And they call it an equal chance pack. We don't see the odds on those equal chance packs. Something tells me they're not truly equal chance, that you probably have a higher chance of getting the Dark Matters that are less desirable than, the Bulls of the world that came out on Friday. So,
Yeah.
you
And again, a
talk.
couple points. The
Go
whole
ahead, Harry.
thing is like again, I find it so amusing that like we're right now we're looking at evidence that 2K has screwed up this player market so bad to the point that the community, it's not good for the community. From the beginning, it hasn't been great. I mean, Jan and I have agreed that it could be better than the auction house, but like insane to make the point that this model of the player market is better than the auction house. And it's clearly not good for 2K because they're doing this because they haven't made money because of it. So they've done such an awful job that not only do we not like it, but they're not making money. And similar to the player market, this whole way they've been doing things is so backwards to me. Like you would think it would make sense, and we talked about it during the All-Star weekend where it's such a fun time, in NBA All-Star weekend every year. The three-point contest, the dunk contest, all these different things. You would think they would be wanting to make it such a fun event that they'd be wanting to draw people who don't normally play 2K but they like the NBA to come on and play the game. So you would think that like in like a real like you would think they would have done the opposite where at the beginning of the year it would have been somewhat like this where it was more towards the money spenders, and then they would have spent the whole second half of the year with playoffs and the All-Star weekend and all these fun events giving us fun things to do to draw in people for next year. So they've done the opposite where they started out kind of on a high, things were good, even in the worst of maybe season 1 or season 2 early on, like it got better and they answered feedback and we got up and up and up. And now we're on such a low to where like no one can be that excited to get 2K25, and the people who aren't, and this has been such a counterproductive disaster that you're going to have people who aren't even playing 2K but maybe they play Madden or they play MLB or they play FIFA who are now witnessing this destruction of an Ultimate Team mode that they're not going to want to give this game a chance next year. So they're shooting themselves in the left foot by ending on such a horrible note. I mean, we're in the playoffs. Like the playoffs can end or whatever, and we can have those couple months in 2K where maybe they do give us all these players. But they've spent like a good portion, pretty much the whole second half of the NBA season, pretty much from around February to now, just ruining their game and making there's no excitement whatsoever for now and for the next game. So it's crazy to me how I get that they're making money, but how do they not see this? Like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, so why don't we talk about the next game? Because I think it's pretty clear that, maybe we'll see some slight changes in season 7, season 8. I don't know how many more seasons are left in MyTeam. The people that have been playing the game every single year over the last few years where they've introduced these seasons, they would know better than me. But regardless of how they go out with these next couple of games, you look at what 2K has done with their most recent WWE 2K game, where I forget the exact comparison here, but I thought it was something to do with a Seth Rollins card in their My Team
Yeah.
SK mode. I mean,
Yeah.
Harry, I'm going to give it to you right now to talk about it more, but they basically put a gambling only card in there straight away. Do you think you could see 2K25 implement something similar where you jump right into My Team in NBA 2K25 and on day one they put cards like rubies or amethyst, the top end cards for day one, as special inserts only? Could you see that happening?
Um, well, at this rate, yes, but you know what I do kind of think what they're gonna do is I think they will bring back the auction house. I think they've shown that this player market, it's kind of like the draft. Like the draft is a good idea in spirit, but 2K doesn't realize that you also have to keep up with the draft all year and update it, which they don't like doing the work. Like there was a way to make this player market work and make it very cool,
Definitely.
but the amount of work that has to be, it's so much work because they can't just do it like what they're doing now. I think what they're doing is every player they're before it was like all rubies had the same price, all diamonds have the same price, all whatever. That doesn't work. That doesn't make sense because that's not realistic. How could a diamond Curry be the same price as a diamond like Ty Lawson or whatever? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So the whole thing has just been a screw up. So I think they're gonna not do it. But what I think people need to understand right now is all these money exploits that they're doing have nothing to do with the player market. So when they give us the auction house, and that's going to be the big headline of the blog next year, oh, we're bringing back the auction house. Everything's going to be great again. Like they're still going to do what they're exactly doing now, even if it's later in the year. They're still going to do 100 overalls. They're still going to do all these different things. They're just not going to put them in the auction house. They're not going to put them. They're going to be like unsellable cards or whatever. Like they're just gonna. That's how they're going to orchestrate it. So what people need to realize is all the stuff going on has nothing to do with the player market because the player market has become such a non-entity. So I think we'll get the auction house and they're going to continue doing this stuff. So maybe what you said is right. Maybe we'll start the game normal with the auction house, and that's when we'll start seeing diamonds and amethysts and players that they're going to be special inserts. I don't see them starting off that way just because they have to know that like they're just gonna kill people off from the beginning. I think it'll be similar to now, where we'll have a few good seasons of the auction house. It'll be like normal. People are gonna be sniping again. Everything's gonna be great, and then boom, like mid, even maybe not even midway, maybe December time when we start getting better, like pink diamonds and opals. That's when they're not. We're gonna be like, oh, they're not gonna be able to be, put up on the auction house. You can't snipe them, whatnot. So I have a feeling that that's what's gonna happen. And also I was kind of thinking, I also wouldn't be surprised if they just take MT out in general. If there's just one currency for everything, like MLB, I kind
Yeah,
of feel like
because
that's the
MT's useless right now. It's meaningless.
exactly. Yeah, so I kind of feel like they'll end up going that route. That's going to be the other headline. It's just going to be VC for everything now, which will give them more leeway to exploit different things in the game. So I think that I have a feeling that's the path that they're going to end up taking.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure. It's obviously, I don't know if I would call it the $1 million question, but I think it's a very interesting discussion to be had where, I don't think it takes a rocket scientist to figure out that the player market was an abject failure for 2K slash Take Two financially. And if you don't believe me, just look at the previous 10 weeks of Friday content in my team, and you can kind of piece it together. They're clearly desperate for money, and they're trying to recoup the money that they lost compared to their projections, in my opinion, by putting the players who everyone wants as the cars that are special inserts, and then giving us, as I've mentioned in previous videos, table scraps as cars that are available in the player market, cars that are able to be purchased right away, players that are guaranteed for us, the consumers, the my team enthusiasts who are still out there to go out there and buy. Um, I could
But let me let
see.
me let me ask you
Go ahead.
quickly to
Sure.
interrupt you, but so I I don't know. I don't have a good like touch of what's going on currently in the community. Like, do you think either two things? Do you think one, this plan is actually working, and a lot like the way I see it, and maybe I'm wrong, and you could tell me. I feel like the people that are opening these packs every week for these 100 overalls is such a small minority. Maybe they are spending a lot of money every week, but it's a small minority of people who are playing the game. Do you think what they're doing is not as effective, and that's why they're doing this every week, and it's been prolonged and prolonged because they want every penny that they can get? Or do you think this is working to their favor and they're making so much money from these packs that they think they'd be dumb to just cut it off? Like, what do you think?
I think that's a great question. Again, it's really tough to know that without being aware of what they're like. I'm not on these shareholder calls, obviously. I don't know what
Yeah.
exactly is being shared with their financials. I do believe that Take Two's probably made less money this year from 2K, from NBA 2K in general, including my team, than they have in previous years. I don't want to say that the player market is a huge reason for that. I do feel like the number of people that spend money on packs is a greater number of people than we think, and I think that's pretty upsetting. But I think if we see the player market come back, if we see the way my team is right now, if we see it come back, like if my team the way it is currently right now in NBA 2K24 comes back either to start in NBA 2K25 my team, or comes earlier than it did this year, because for us the change happened All-Star weekend. If we were to see this change occur earlier than All-Star weekend, if it were to occur whether it's day 1, whether it's Thanksgiving, whether it's the holidays in December, I think that would be a sign of 2K acknowledging that, like, hey, we made a good amount of money. And I think 2K
Yeah.
probably did make a good amount of money, and they will continue to make a good amount of money because so many people are ripping packs. You look at the content creators, right? And I don't want to blame people. I'm not going to name names, but there are people who came out in the content creation community in my team and said, "We're not going to spend money. We're only going to spend MT." And those same people came out a month later, some of them honest, being like, "Hey, I need to rip packs because I need views. I need to, be able to pay the bills." And others were not, and they're like, "I'm just gonna go back to ripping packs because I enjoy this kind of content." And we saw a lot of people that said we're not going to rip packs come out after a month, after 6 weeks, and they've been ripping packs clearly with VC, and they've not been hiding that fact every single week for the last whatever it is 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. They've been ripping packs with their money, and that's fine. I'm not here. I'm not looking at anyone's bag. I'm not looking at anyone's wallet. If you're content creating for my team and you want to spend money, that's your money. Do as you wish. But just know that when you do that, there are people that are going to be watching you, and if you get that great pull and they're like, man, I have no other way of getting, Bol, who is probably the most desirable dark matter that came out this week, they're going to be like, well, okay, well, if he got it, well, then I can get it. Because all it takes for
But you know
some of these
what?
kids is to
Though,
see that card getting pulled for them to want to rip packs.
and it's funny because again, they're shooting themselves in the left foot because these pack odds are so bad. When you have people like Troy Den, who is like the biggest, I'd probably at this point, I'm not nothing against Troy Den. He's probably the biggest content creator in the sports community who plays 2K frequently. When you have someone like him, how many millions of M or VC was it the last time? And he didn't pull. He pulled like, I don't even remember. You would know better than
Well, I
me.
think he pulled one, like
Yeah.
one. I again, I'm not gonna get the numbers exactly. I have not looked this up in a while, but I think he pulled 100 overall and like, what was it, 21 million VC spent?
Yeah, and that's the audience that their 2K is trying to get to open packs. They want kids who are gonna beg their parents to open packs and get money for Hanukkah or Christmas and their birthdays. So when you have that kid audience looking at the, Troy Den make fun of these packs, you think they're gonna want to open packs? So everything they've done is so wrong. Sorry, keep going. I just wanted to add that.
No. I mean, it's very, very true. I'm trying to find. There was some article that I'm not gonna be able to find, but there was an article that came out recently of some parent who found that their kid spent, I forget if it was like $1,000 or $4,000 on VC, and I don't know if it was this year trying to chase 100 overalls or what it was, but I'm sure there are plenty of parents who have their credit cards tied to the accounts of their children and aren't aware of how much money they can spend on these games. And I think as each month passes when it comes to these games, parents are going to become more and more aware of just how predatory the tactics are that 2K and all these companies, EA Sports, whatever company runs MLB The Show, are using in their games. And
Yeah.
obviously, there's varying degrees of predatoriness. I know that's not a word, but you know what I mean. In all these games, and I think 2K right now, it's a shame because we've loved MyTeam for years. I mean, of all these Ultimate Team S game modes, MyTeam was the first one that I latched onto in NBA 2K13, and we talked so much, at least I did, over the last 10 years about how I felt like MyTeam was always the last to be innovative in certain regards, such as with the contracts.
Contract. Yeah.
2K was the last game to get contracts out, but they're the first game to get rid of the auction house, strip the players of their freedom, and give us a player market that they fully control. And then when they're still not making, ends meet financially, then they strip us of our freedom to quote Harry, Ty Debo, whoever, and put the players that we want in packs only and force us to gamble if we want to get the cards that they put out on Friday. So,
Yeah, and it's funny because I said this from the beginning, but like, you know, Jan and I, we love obviously collecting MT and racking MT. When I was like younger, back in like middle school, high school, and I was opening packs on 2K with my money, most of the time it wasn't because I cared about the card. It's because I wanted, to sell that card and make as much MT as I can on the game. So I completely like by taking out that factor, I'm sure that is also a reason why, a lot of I'm sure more people aren't opening packs. What are you gonna pull? You're gonna spend all this money to pull Dark Matter, whoever, just so you can quick sell them for 200K or whatever. Like it's just so unrewarding. It'll be even interesting next year if they do the auction house again and they realize that wow, this really was the best way to make money from the game. I think all they really had to do was implement a thing like Madden where there's a minimum and maximum coin thing that you can put players up, and that would have helped like a lot against like the bots and selling MT and all that stuff, and it would have been great for all the parties. So I think next year, not that we'll be playing, but it'll be interesting to see where they go because I think even if they are making money from the auction house and they do bring it back and they're making the same money as they normally did, if not more or whatever, I think they'll never forget, okay, at any point we can drop these special inserts and make money like that. So I think even if they reverse, they're never going to forget that this is like a way to make that quick money. So, like I said, it'll be interesting. It's sad what this game mode has turned into. It's like I like again, like why play it? What's the point of playing it right now?
yeah,
You
I
know?
mean, I went on 2KDB and I've been on it for the majority of this podcast. I clicked on players and I just started scrolling through each page. You see 20 players on the first page and 20 players on the next page. You keep going. The first 2 pages are only 100 overalls and dark matters, which means the first 2 pages of players into KDB's player database, you
Are
can't even
unacceptable.
access them in the player
Yeah.
market. You know, it's
Yeah,
just
and again, I'll
so sad.
emphasize again, no money spent should be a challenge. It should be hard to not hard. It should be a challenge to keep up with the best teams, but it should be doable. If you want to play every second of the day, you should be able to have like the best team. Similar to someone who just wants to spend money and not really play. But the fact that now it's impossible to have these cards without spending money, and even by spending money, it's like a gamble. It's just like it's so bad. It takes out all the fun of the game because, like I said, even if it's a 1% chance I'm gonna run into someone on unlimited with 100 overalls, like even the thought of something that's unattainable, it makes it not. Like for me, it just ruins it for me. And maybe other people aren't like that. Like maybe I know Jan. I'm not saying that you're just like eating whatever they're giving to you, but I think you can just ignore stuff like that just because you're having fun on the game. It's hard for me to do that, and maybe I'm a perfectionist at heart, but it's like this is like I shouldn't be asking for too much to make these cards, even if they want to give them ridiculous MT amounts in the player market, 3 mil, whatever. At least you have the choice if I want to spend my MT. Because I'll tell you, even if I was playing this every game, I'm not gonna just every promo I'm just gonna spend however much MT on these lock-ins and just hope I get the player I want. Like I don't know. That's just like how much money? How much MT did you spend to get Booker?
I mean, I probably spent something. I don't know the exact math. I should have gone back and looked, but it was probably somewhere around 500K to
Like,
550K because I had to
do
buy.
they like? Can you imagine spending that every week and just hoping you get the card you want?
Yeah,
Like
like I
that's
know
what the
someone
game has turned
responded to
into.
my most recent comment. And by the way, if you're watching this and you've commented on previous YouTube videos, I apologize. I will get to your comments hopefully later on tonight. But there's someone who commented saying that you could have gone and spent and locked in, like spent MT and locked in like the Vortex collection or this collection. But it's like if the players don't really move me, it's so tough for me as someone who's clearly so frugal with their MT to spend their MT on something that is again gambling. Like I'm not spending 550K and guaranteeing that I'm getting the player that I want. I would love it if they made it an option pack where they, even if it's not every single card that's in the collection, if you gave us like what we had in
An
this
option
most
pack would have
recent.
been fine. Even that I would have been like, all right, like that's fine. And even Ty Devo mentioned that. Like, but the fact that it's completely random, like, come on.
Yeah, like I mean, right now in this Gladiator collection that we got on Friday, we had one, two, three, four, five, 6 Dark Matters. If you make it an equal chance pack, or sorry, an option pack where you can pick from 3 random cards from the collection, at least that would be nice. Because let's say you don't want Ewing and you don't want Jordan, well then you're guaranteed to get a third player in that pack that you can select who is not going to be those 2 players versus the number of people I saw on Twitter complaining that, oh, I got Ewing, oh, I got MJ, and his jump shot sucks. Where it's like, okay, you spent all this MT and you're still miserable. And you didn't rip packs and you're miserable because you can't get the card that you want. And so that's why you lock in the collection. It's brutal. To another point, we were talking about this kind of, earlier on about how the year started with us being frustrated that the top end players in my team history, the biggest names, guys like LeBron, were like locked away behind lock-ins. At least you can get them should you choose to buy every card in the collection, and all those cards were accessible in the player market, but it was still expensive. I just searched for LeBron on 2KDB, and if you look at all the LeBron James cards that are out there, you have the 100 overall, who obviously the odds are like ridiculously low. After that, you get All-Star LeBron, still not available to anybody,
Yeah.
guaranteed.
Like
Um,
why?
you
We're getting
have
100 overalls. Why?
Yes. So you have the 100 overall LeBron who's not available. You have the Galaxy Opal LeBron from All Star Weekend who's not available. You have the All Star LeBron who's available in, sorry, not All Star LeBron. You have the Galaxy Opal LeBron who's available from Domination. So you have to grind out 33 Domination games to get a LeBron James card whose jump shot is on normal timing. So he's
Yep.
basically just like a slightly boosted Diamond LeBron James card. Who, mind you, the Diamond LeBron James card was also a lock-in as part of the Majestic collection. The card above that is the Pink Diamond LeBron from Series 2. That card is not going to win you any games. Please bring that card into Clutch Sim Online and play against my budget-ass squad, and I will clap your cheeks. On God. The next card after that is the Amethyst LeBron. And that Amethyst LeBron card is the only LeBron card who is available in the player market right now.
Same thing with like Kobe, right?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to search Kobe, it's probably something very
This is
similar.
Isn't that sad? This is 2K24. The cover of the game is Kobe. This game, it's for Kobe. The best card we can get is an Amethyst Kobe. Like,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at all the Kobe's, we have two free agent Kobe Bryants. Those cards don't count. Outside of that, you have the Galaxy Opal Wild West Kobe card, special insert only. You have the Tis the Season Kobe card, who was, I forgot how much MT. He was like 2.3 million MT to lock in, so that was pretty expensive. You have the Amethyst Kobe, who you can get from the player market, and then after that, the other two Kobe Bryants are the pre-order Kobe's. So the only Kobe you can get right now, guaranteed, is the player market Amethyst Kobe Bryant. That's it. And you know what? The next Kobe Bryant we're going to get is going to be the 100 overall Kobe, and that card's also going to be unattainable. And then if you really want, you can spend a gazillion dollars and lock in all the players into your collection, or however many cards you need to get the Dark Matter Kobe for the collector level reward. But that's going to cost you so much money. I feel like there really is no way to get the cards that you want unless you're willing to play with lower tier versions. I mean, I don't want to bring an Amethyst Kobe Bryant. Even if I get his duo with the Amethyst Shaq, I'm not going to bring that into online gameplay. So I don't
yeah.
know what message 2K is trying to send, other than if you want the players you want to play with, because to me, my team has always been about building the team that you want, of your dreams, the way that you wanted it. Because in years past, my team trailers, when you would boot into the game mode for the first time, would showcase, LeBron teaming with Kobe, teaming with Magic, teaming with Kareem, your Lakers all-star dream team, or all-time dream team. And in previous my teams, you could construct that team because all the players, for the most part, were able to be purchased, even if the prices were ridiculous for some of these players. Now there is no set price. The price
Yeah.
is gambling. That's
We
it.
can't even make a theme team. Like for the
No,
teams we like, we can't even do that.
no. Like, I want to make a theme team for my New York
Yeah.
Knicks, who are absolutely dominating, and we'll talk about them soon. And I don't want to spend 80. I mean, I don't know how much Jalen Brunson's pink diamond is right now. I'm waiting because I'm assuming, even though he's playing like absolute dog shit in the playoffs, we're going to get hopefully one really good Jalen Brunson performance in the playoffs, which will lead to us getting a Dark Matter Jalen Brunson, hopefully as a part of moments through the playoff content that 2K is promising. We'll see. They've been letting us down all year. But like right now, Pink Diamond Jalen Brunson, who's the best Jalen Brunson card in the game right now, is 63,000 MT. And I think he's hit his price floor as a Pink Diamond. I don't want to spend 63,000 MT on a Pink Diamond Jalen Brunson right now. I just don't. I don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, speaking of moments, remember, weren't we supposed to do that whole thing where it was like the matchups, and if like KD was playing LeBron, the better card would get a better Remember that?
I remember. Yeah.
It's lies on top of lies on top of lies. They have it. This is like the most example year of just them lying to our faces of what their plans are, not executing any of them. Even if they executed them and they went poorly, just like, again, the most laughable 2K line of all time forever will now be, higher tier higher tier cards will be accessible to everybody. Like,
Yeah. They wanted to
they're
level
not.
the playing field.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, everything. How could you take this company seriously anymore? And that's coming from me, who Jen knows I like love the blog. I even like it more than the game comes out
I
sometimes.
know.
It's always a fun time. I like yeah, I will never be able to get excited about anything because it's all lies.
I
You
know.
know what I mean? It's like it's so sad, and it's crazy when I think of like things that they could have done to make this better and still scam us to make, like, imagine even if it was like, not we get a dark matter coping the player market, but the real dark matter that can hold all badges, that's the special insert, like that. We would have been bitching about that from day one, but at least in retrospect we would have been getting a card. Like, the fact that, like, I can think of a billion ways where they can still be greedy and scam us, but at least we still have access to a new card. Like, they've gone so beyond, like, at the bottom, that so past the line that, like, I never could have saw this coming,
Yeah.
and it's just, again, this is our last year playing, and that was really, like, I remember how excited were we before the game came out that we were both gonna be playing 2K, you know what I mean? Because the last time we were both on a 2K game was probably 2K22, and like I kind of stopped playing that earlier on, so I was really looking forward to this year, and like it's I want to play. I really do. I can't. It's hard to play with all this frustrating stuff going on.
No, I mean it really is. Do you have any other closing remarks? Because I'm assuming this will probably be the last time you and I do a podcast on my team, at least for a while. Maybe we'll do another podcast in the future on my team, and as we talked about before,
Well,
we may do more
we have to
content.
do a full year in
No,
review
we
of
will. We
everything.
will definitely do that. That I agree with.
Because I remember saying in the beginning of the year we won't really know. Well, funny, it's kind of funny like mentioning it now, but remember I was like, we'll not understand this player market until the end of the year. Boy, howdy, do we really understand this player market now? They've just forgotten about it.
I know.
But yeah, this will, I don't know. I'm sure we'll do more, at least for a while. I do want to do like even if we do co-op or anything, just to play the game, like because I have no other reason to get on. So I'm not. This will not be our last My Team video for sure. Like we got to do that. Even if we play Rec, we'll 2K at least we'll play. But yeah, this is it. I didn't think this was gonna go this long, but it's it's insane just what this game has turned into in 10 weeks. And again, I'll end it how I started it. There's no goodwill, I think, whatsoever in this game. Like, there's no trust. You can't believe anything they're saying. And it's disappointing. It really is.
I know. I think that means a lot coming from you because I know for years, like you just said, I don't want to say you took what they put in the blog as gospel to start every single year in my team, like every August.
No, I really did.
I
It's all
know. No,
right.
I mean, look, I didn't want to say it. I didn't necessarily think that, but I do think it at least
But
got
you
you
know what?
hyped.
Because normally, you know what the thing is? Normally, it's like whatever the major headline is, they typically always stay true to that. No contracts are in the game, but this is in the game. That at least main thing that they want to center my team around. They normally care about that, and everything else they kind of forget about. The main thing of taking out the auction house and making it more accessible for everybody, and let you know whatever the playing field, they've completely butchered and lied. So it's nothing you can really take anymore. Like what, like you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, if you have no other closing remarks, I mean,
Nope.
like Harry said, we will get at least another My Team podcast out for you guys to end the year. But I think in terms of us doing those, monthly, bi-weekly podcasts talking about what's happening in my team, I just think given the state of where my team is at right now, maybe I'll do a couple of videos here and there. I'll still try and get out my own usual My Team content for you guys because I am still playing the game even if it's on a less frequent basis than it was at the start of the
Well,
year. But
let me ask you to end the podcast.
sure.
I'll ask you what is like drawing you on my team right now.
Right
Like
now, there
what
really
makes you
isn't
want to
much.
like because you do get on the game. I'll see you play clutch time or something. Like what makes you want to get on the game?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's just, I'm just so used to chasing the different grinds that there are for me. Like, for example, this week is going to be the first week, I think, since they dropped the first Rush promo, like, in terms of, like, they've been dropping these agenda sets on Tuesdays where you can grind for not top end cards, but top gem cards like Dark Matters now for the last 3 weeks. We've gotten Steph Curry 2 weeks ago, Bill Russell last week, and now this week we have John Morant. The John Morant, you couple the fact that it's a point guard who's shorter than Steph Curry. We already got Steph Curry 2 weeks ago. And then one of the agenda requirements to get John Morant is to make 53 pointers in Unlimited. And the rest of the cards in that collection really aren't that exciting. I'm probably going to pass. I put out a video earlier today talking about how I'm only going to probably grind for 4 of the cards because you can get all those 4 grinds done offline and relatively easily. So right now for me, I mean, I log into my team every day as long as I can get onto the game, but I don't necessarily play the game every single day. I try to stream once a week to get, gameplay because I still feel like I win the majority of my games because the majority of people still don't have those incredibly, like good god squads with gamble only cards. But I feel like as the year progresses, the rest of the year progresses with my team, and more people get those cards, and I feel like the people that are willing to spend more money and gamble more and get lucky enough to get these top end cards, the more those people that are playing online, because I think as the year goes on, the people that are grinding are not going to play the game as much, and it's just the money spenders are going to be left. I'll play less of the game online, and I'll probably eventually reach a point where Harry is right now, where I'm like, okay, maybe I'll log in here and there. Maybe I'll be playing Park more. But when it comes to my
Yes,
team,
we got to play Park. I would love to play some
I want
Park.
to go back to the rec. The rec is a lot of fun. But I mean that's basically it. I mean, I'm just chasing level 40, and I feel like once I hit level 40, I have nothing to really chase. That's really all it is. So it's a really sorry state, like Harry said. Very sad time to be someone who like wants to enjoy my team, wants it to be great. This year, like Harry mentioned, is gonna be my last, and it was more than likely going to be my last, regardless, barring anything unforeseen coming into the year. But the way they've been engaging with us or not really engaging with us, I guess, over the last 10 weeks has been really, really sad. And I feel like they're going to continue to do this because people are going to continue to line up on Fridays to rip packs, to go and chase, these special insert cards because their favorite content creators are chasing these cards with their pack openings, or they just in general, regardless of what these content creators are doing on Fridays, they want those cards because they're their favorite players to play with. And in previous my teams they were able to get them, but now this year they can't, so they have to rip packs and hope for the chance to get them. So yeah, that's a long-winded way of me basically saying I'm just playing the game here and there just to grind. I'm still enjoying the game because I don't play it that much every week. If I were to play it a lot, I think I would hate it. Um, you know,
And I feel like you like making content, like streaming
yeah, it's
and
fun. I mean,
hopefully.
I enjoy it, and we have a good amount of engagement. And again, shout out to all of you guys who have been commenting, liking all the My Team content, the content on Broth Cindy's channel in general, and subscribing me. We're at 336 subs, I believe, as of this recording, which is awesome. So like that part of it is really fun, and I still enjoy playing the game, but again, it's because it's in moderation. I don't play the game that much. If I was a full-time My Team content creator,
Oh my
I
god.
would strongly consider finding something else to do. Because you are not like it's not your fault. This game is just, I think unless you're like in the 0.0000001%, basically the odds of you pulling a 100 overall, like you would have to be an MMG level content creator to put out content on this game and make like much more money than what you're putting in. That's what it takes, and that's not me taking a shot at anyone else in the My Team community that's a content creator. I just think, if you can make My Team content work and you're, profiting financially off that, I feel like you can make a lot of other games work,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I
But how
think.
about
Any
the,
other last thoughts on My Team, Harry?
no, but how about we say this? In the next few weeks, we will get on for a rec video.
Oh, definitely. I would love to. That would be great. That would be
You
great. In
still
the
have
next few
you
weeks,
still
I'll
gotta make a
spend.
player. You have so much VC on
I
your.
have 162K that I'm getting from
Oh
all
my
the
god.
pro passes that I get every single season that I'm not spending on packs. So I want to put it into either my current player or a center, like an actual center, and then just crack that card out or that player out, and then go into rec and hopefully dominate with in the online streets. That's my hope. Um,
Yeah, remember how one last comment, and then I'll
sure.
remember how like even like looking back, remember how like fun like that first weekend was of 2K. Like we were playing rec and park, and my team was fun. Like it's so sad what the game has turned into.
I
You
know,
know?
no, it's like a 180 completely from where we started the year. I'm totally with you. Grinding to level 40 was so much fun because you could do it in my career related game modes or my team related game modes, and now it's like yeah, I want to grind to level 40, but like I don't even know for what reason. Like what's the end goal? Just hitting level 40 every season? I mean it's just not really fun. So
Come
uh,
on, you don't want that gold floor setter badge? Come on.
I know I should care about that. I really should.
I know,
All right. Well,
but all
before we
right.
get on out of here, Harry, assuming we're done talking about the My Team portion of things here in My Team, I would love to know what your feelings are about what I think is one of the most miraculous games in New York Knicks history, especially when you factor in playoff wins. We are recording this. It is currently just a little after 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time on Tuesday, April the 23rd. We are one day removed, roughly, from Knicks 76ers game two, round one of the Eastern Conference playoffs. One of the most incredible games that I've ever seen. Knicks win 104-101. Knicks score 8 points in roughly the final 30 to 40 seconds of that game. They were
Yeah.
trailing 101-96. And Philadelphia does not score for the remainder of those 30 seconds. The Knicks score 8 straight points and win by margin of 3. Harry, what are your thoughts? Very, very quickly. I'm showing the highlights in the background of those final 40 seconds or so.
Yeah, I just want to quickly say, like, as many of the hardcore viewers will know, that fans will know, I am a Jew. I take my holidays, very seriously. And this is the first year I did not go to the first Passover Seder. I felt awful. I really wanted to go, but the Knicks are in the playoffs. I couldn't miss it. I couldn't do it. And I sat down, I watched the entire game from beginning to end, and man, I'm so glad I watched that whole ending, because I that was one of the greatest endings to a Knicks game I've ever seen, probably. It's funny, I said to Jen, I was like, the whole game, I don't know how much rewatchability there is to that game, because it was a rough game from beginning to the last like 30 seconds. But man, that last 30 seconds made it like a legendary historic game. And I kind of wish we could put up our text up like on the screen, because we were texting from pretty much like the last like 5-10 minutes of the game, and you saw us. We had moments of hype. We were losing hope. We were like, at one point you said, on quote, you said, Knicks need a miracle, and goddamn, we had a miracle. That whole thing was incredible. From Brunson hitting that three, which after such a awful past couple games with Brunson, the fact that he even made that from us getting and it was not like the 76ers passed the ball and we quickly fumbled it. No, like they had the ball at one point, then we got the ball back, and DiVincenzo missed. Josh Hart got the rebound, passed it back to Hartenstein got the rebound, passed it back to DiVincenzo, hits the three. Like, just insanity. And for it to happen anywhere else but Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena of all time, with the greatest fans of all time, it's amazing. And you made the comment in the in your stream that, like, we probably should be 0-2. Like, these games have just been so tight knit and close, and just, I don't know if it's luck or what's going on, but it's amazing to see. And I'll quickly add, I texted Jen. I said, I think last year, and last year, especially against the Heat, I noticed this. If Brunson was not scoring like 35, 40 points and not playing every single minute of the game, we were probably going to lose, because that's just where our team was at. The fact that now we can afford to have Brunson not play as well these past couple games, I think he shot 25%, or I guess he made that three, a little over 25%. And we're still winning these games because we have players like Josh Hart that are playing good. Deuce is stepping up big time. DiVincenzo, we have Hartenstein is playing his ass off out there. Like, we have so many guys on our team that can make up for even Brunson having a mediocre game. And a mediocre game for Brunson is still scoring like 20, 25 a game, which is fine. And I know I'm going on forever. I can go on, but that game fired me up so much. I worked out afterwards. I was so hyped. It was like, I don't even know what time it was, but I was so just energized. Like, that game, I felt like I was on a high. And I woke up today, and the first thing I did in the morning was I rewatched that last 30 seconds, because it was incredible. So yeah, I know I want you to talk, and I know you've probably shared your thoughts already, but yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, listen, Knicks are going 4-0. I believe it in my heart. I'm really excited for where we go, and I think what a lot of people are hopefully seeing, that Knicks are not a sleeper team. Like, I said this in the last podcast. Knicks can finish number 2. We could be number 1 in the East, and people are still gonna sleep on us. And they're not gonna get how amazing Brunson is. Brunson could be averaging 28, 29 a game, and people are still not gonna realize how good he is because he's on the Knicks. So I think this is a wake up call to all teams that we're not a team to mess around with. I mean, we're 2-0 against the so-called, didn't deserve it in the first place, but we are 2-0 against the so-called MVP of last season. So what does that tell you? But yeah, I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to the playoffs. It's fun. This is like, it's super, super fun time of the year. And yeah, I'll throw it to you. Sorry,
No,
that's such a long-winded answer. I'm very excited. This is a very fun time for New York. Also, one more thing I'll add. I think the Yankees have the best record in the league. The Rangers in hockey have the best record in the league. Knicks finished number 2. We're 2-0 in the round 1.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a year for New York. It's so cool to see, you know?
Yeah, and I think we really deserve that because I think for the last 10 years, at least the majority of those 10 years, I think a lot of our sports teams across all leagues have been pretty terrible. The Giants and the Jets,
Yeah.
still
Oh my
awful.
God. Yeah.
But
You
at
know, we
least
don't talk about that.
I know. I mean, I echo a lot of Harry's sentiments. I think it's so funny that, you're like, I'm sorry I'm running so long. I think there's so many Knicks fans who, especially in the moment after that game happened, that was such a magical game, such a
Yeah.
magical, last couple of, seconds, basically. And I think it's one of those games where it's like, one of those moments where like it's over, and my immediate reaction, my first thing I did was I FaceTime Tony, my partner in crime here at Bros Cindy, and then I called my mom because I wanted to make sure that she actually watched the game. And my parents are both in complete disbelief. They are big Knicks
Now
fans.
I'm hurt. I had to wait 10 minutes to get a text back from Jen,
I
and
know
people are
it
getting
was.
calls all over the place.
I know because I stopped texting and I started calling because I was in such disbelief. I mean, I got back to friends 30 minutes after the fact because I got so tied up in like texting back Harry, and like I was watching the game with my girlfriend, and my girlfriend, shout out to her, whenever I watch the Knicks with her in my presence, she's undefeated. The Knicks are undefeated, I should say. Like when it's me
He's
and her watching a game
undefeated. The
together.
Knicks are undefeated.
And when Kyle Lowry was at the free throw line, with them being up 4, and he hits the first free throw to put Philly up 5, I told her the game is over. I thought the game was over when Tyrese Maxey hits the 3 to put them up 4.
Yeah.
And then the Knicks
Well,
miss
yeah.
on the other end. They foul Kyle Lowry. I'm like, oh, this game's actually over. Like, it's 1-1. It's a series now. Now the Knicks have to steal one in Philly. And I remember I texted Tony about this. I know I texted Harry saying we need a miracle to win this game. And like he said, we got that miracle. But I texted Tony when I think Maxey tied the game. I forgot what the score was, like 94-94. And I said, these next 3 minutes, whoever wins this series, you're going to be able to look back at these last 3 minutes and call that a
Yeah, and
pivotal
also
point.
I want you to keep going, but like that happened against Miami last year where we won game 1 in New York, we lost game 2, and that completely screwed up all our momentum going to Miami. So
Yeah.
we were 30 seconds away from going into that same trajectory, and it completely changed.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at the late game execution, and you can say that Brunson, I think, had a much better postseason last year than he's had for so far this year. And you got to give, in my opinion, a lot of credit. I was talking to Harry about this earlier. I don't want to get too much into the X's and O's, and I'm sure I'll get a lot of it wrong anyways. But I just think Philadelphia, if you look at Brunson's splits against Philadelphia, outside of the one blowout win in January, I think Brunson has struggled throughout the year against Philadelphia. And I think now Embiid and Maxey, being on the Sixers, active on the Sixers, they're now 31-10 in 41 games playing together. I think 3 or 4 of those losses have now come against the Knicks, which is absurd. When you think about it.
I could be wrong. I think Knicks are like 3-1 against Philly. Like, but like in the regular season.
Yeah, I
could
think
be
so.
it's
Yeah,
something
which
like that.
like they've been beating them, but again,
Yeah.
Embiid has not played that many games, and this is not your regular, your traditional 2 seed versus 7 seed. Like there's 3 games separating the Knicks and the 76ers in the standings, and Joel Embiid missed 43 games this year. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Give us credit. The joke from the beginning has been the Knicks. I love that we got number 2. It's great to brag about that, but it gives us a harder matchup against Philly. I would have been fine playing Magic or the Cavalier. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
we're playing Philly, arguably like a harder team to play, and we're playing. We have so many options. It's great.
Yeah,
You know.
like it would have
Yeah.
basically been like, I think it had the Knicks lost that game against Chicago last Sunday, it would have been Knicks versus Indiana, and we'll see what
Pacers, yeah.
Indiana does tonight. But they looked shook in their first playoff game. As a
Terrible.
group,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee is battle tested. Even without Giannis, they still have Dame Lillard, who has had
Oh my
countless
God.
playoff moments, and
Lillard
35
in that
points.
last game was just insane.
Yeah, well, the
Yeah.
last game he only had 35 points in the first half. He had 0 in the second half. And
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
we'll see what happens tonight, because it doesn't matter whether you win. Every playoff game this last weekend was basically like a 20 or 30 point differential. But it doesn't matter whether you win those games by 30 points or you win by like 2 or 3, like the Knicks have won these last couple of playoff games. Well, they won by 7 points in game 1. All those games, all those wins count as one win. So, the Knicks winning each game by 7 points and now 3 points. Those each count as one win. Same thing as, Indiana losing by God knows how many points in that first game. But just to wrap up on the Knicks right here, um, I'm excited. I know I don't know if Harry, I don't know if you actually feel like they're gonna sweep Philadelphia. I'm still
No,
scared that
this
Philadelphia is
is
gonna win both games at home, and then we
yeah,
go
this
back. You
I
know,
don't see any game being a blowout by any means. This is going to be every game going into the fourth. I've thought in my head, this game is not good for my blood pressure because I'm getting so tense every game. So
yeah,
this one, yeah, I was joking about the 4-0, that'd be great, but this is not. We're not near the finish line. We got to keep going. But
no. I mean, look at the
anything's
last two
possible.
games, right? You look at the last two games, and the Knicks have gone down. I don't want to say big, but they've gone down by like 10 or more points, I feel like, in both first quarters. And in
Yeah,
both
yeah.
first halves, by the end of the first half, the Knicks have done something in the last 2 minutes of the second quarter where you're like, they're down by how much at halftime? Like Josh Hart did his best like Steph Curry impression. He went 4 for 4, I think, from three in the first half last night. And you go into halftime, I think it's 53-49 Philadelphia. And you're like, I'm sorry, the Knicks have gone absolutely dominated. Jalen Brunson is now playing his sixth quarter in a row against this team, looking like absolute garbage. And the Knicks are only losing by 4 at halftime. And that positions them to, get contributions from their random role players. Deuce McBride, who I love Deuce. I've been in the
Oh my
Deuce hive
God.
since he was
Yeah.
drafted. I was hoping he would be our backup point guard. Never saw him being a player like this
I
effective.
said when we made the trade for when we got rid of Quickly and RJ, I said I wish we traded Deuce because I just did not see this in him, and now he's becoming like a fan favorite
Yeah, I mean,
in New York, which is incredible.
what we're seeing out of Deuce right now, what we saw out of Deuce in the regular season is what I was hoping we would see from Quentin Grimes before we traded him for Bogdanovich. But what we're
Yeah,
getting from the playoffs so far, and I know it's only been 2 games, so very small sample size. What we're getting from Deuce McBride right now in the playoffs is what I wanted out of Emmanuel Quickly. And I love Quickly.
yeah,
He did not show us anything in the postseason.
no.
People want to, and you didn't really focus in on that because of Julius Randle's shortcomings. And now we're getting major shortcomings from Jalen Brunson, and I think a lot of that has to do with scheme. I think they're making him uncomfortable. I think they're putting length on him defensively, guys like Kelly Oubre and Nick Batum. And then Embiid is hobbled, but he's still Embiid. And yeah, they're just putting him in the paint and putting him in drop coverage. So they're taking him basically, off of Hartenstein, or they're putting him on Josh Hart and sagging off of Hart. And so even if Brunson is able to blow by Kelly Oubre or Nick Batum, well, now you have, for however you may feel about him, the reigning MVP waiting for him at the rim. And I think you've seen him very hesitant to attack the rim. And, we'll have to see how they play. The last thing I'll say is, yeah, now we have 2 games in Philadelphia, but just friendly reminder, Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Josh Hart played for Villanova. And I think they played a handful of games in Philadelphia, namely at the 76ers Stadium, title games, mind you, I believe, for those Villanova, for the, the years they played in Villanova. And I think they treat Philadelphia as home for them. I mean, Jalen Brunson, unfortunately, is a Philadelphia Eagles fan when it comes to his NFL fandom. And I think if there was ever a place for Jalen Brunson to come back to life for the New York Knicks, it would be, I don't know if he's from Philadelphia, but in his college city, in his college state of Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, with everyone doubting him, he's now seeing his teammates carry the load, namely guys like Josh Hart, DiVincenzo. Hartenstein was arguably the most
Oh my
important Nick last
God.
night.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
was sensational. I mean, the offensive rebound he gets off the first DiVincenzo miss, he out hustled Embiid to the ball. And if you look at the replay, there are 4 76ers scratching and clawing at him. And for him to get a nice outlet pass to OG Anunoby, who can then kick it out to DiVincenzo, who hits the go-ahead three-pointer to make it whatever it was, 103, 102, whatever the final score was, I don't remember. That was just, it was so massive. And we don't win without all the role players that are doing their part in this series so far. I'm hopeful that Jalen Brunson now can answer the call and give us a performance similar to the Jalen Brunson we've been seeing in the regular season. So those are my final thoughts. Harry, any closing remarks from you?
Yeah, I want to quickly add that I so much I feel like of like my life I feel like you have these insane NBA games where like LeBron or Curry will hit a crazy half court buzzer beater or something. And I feel like I'm never watching the game. I'll turn on an NBA game no matter what team. And I feel like it's the most mediocre game in the world. And then later on, I'm out and it's like, oh, Curry scored 70 points. You know what I mean? But the fact that I got to watch that Knicks game, like the fact that I got to watch that game in general, let alone it was the Knicks and it was a playoff game, like, I'm so happy that I got to be able to witness. Like, I'll never forget that game. So I'm so happy that I got to watch, even if that's the biggest highlight we get all season, like, or all playoff run. That was just such an incredible moment. I'm glad I got to watch it. And it's one thing I'll quickly add on more of a positive note for Brunson. Like, it's great that we're at a point where, like, yes, his shooting percentages these last couple games have been abysmal, but the fact that no matter what, we can probably get like a good 20, 25 points from him. Like, I don't think he's gone under 20 points any of these two games, and he's had some rough, awful games. That shows the superstar caliber player he is. You know what I mean? It's one thing if he's only scoring like 12 points or something like that. Like, he's still giving us numbers, and it's like I said, it's great to see all of our guys really putting in the work. Like, if you look at the stats of our team, there's not one player that's really not at least contributing a little bit. So it's cool to see. I'm really excited. And this has been really fun. I have had more fun talking about this than droning out about how awful my team is.
Of course.
So maybe even next game we'll do a little recap. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
If
no,
you'd be
sure,
down.
absolutely. I think with that note, shout out to Harry. Like Harry said, that was a very, very special game. That's why we wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about it. A game where you don't just watch it and then you move on with your life. It's a game where you're gonna watch it and you're gonna remember where you were watching that.
Yeah.
I will never forget where I was. I mean, hell, I went and I bought a copy of the New York Post for the first time in so long, and I hope you guys can see this. Let me take a quick flip to my camera. Yeah, you guys can see this right here, and on the back page it reads Miracle on 33rd Street, and it's a picture that I've been
Wow.
showing now on stream for the last 20, 30 minutes with DiVincenzo flexing and Brunson behind him, because I just think, for me, it's moments like these that I want to not necessarily be immortalized, but, after, celebrating and enjoying a team who's always been on the wrong end of games like these, where I talked to Harry
Yeah.
about Luka
Yeah.
Doncic last year in the regular season scored 8 points, I feel like, or his team, the Mavericks, scored 8 points in like 30 seconds, just like the Knicks did last night to force overtime. And when you talk about the Knicks, obviously you have the Reggie Miller 8 points in 9 seconds. Years ago, the Knicks were always on the wrong end of games like these, and to finally
Yeah.
get one where we're on the right end in the playoffs against that team, a team with the reigning MVP, and that was the best game I've ever seen Tyrese Maxey play, especially in the playoffs. That was, you tip your cap to Tyrese Maxey. That guy wanted that game. They were
He's
talking about the
incredible.
flu
Yeah.
game because he was questionable with an illness. I thought that was total bullshit, by the way, but whatever. He has a great game. For all that to happen, for Embiid to score 34, Maxey to score 35, Brunson
Yeah.
to go whatever it was, like 7 of 28, I think, last night. For all that to happen and for the Knicks to still win in, to put it lightly, dramatic fashion, that was a magical night. It really
Yeah,
was.
it's moments like that that remind you why we love the NBA, why we love sports. Like that, it made you feel something. You know what I mean? I worked out afterwards at like 11 o'clock. I was just so happy. I was such in a good mood, and you don't get that feeling every day watching, especially the Knicks. Or
You
watching
don't.
New York sports teams.
You don't.
So it's really cool.
It's
So yeah,
amazing.
this was a ton of fun. We got to do this more often throughout the playoff run because it's not ending yet. We got more games, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how far we go.
No, definitely. Harry, once again, shout out to you. I really appreciate everything that you've been doing here for the channel, hanging out with us, and I mean, by us, I mean mostly me, doing these podcasts, and it's been great.
I always feel like your viewers hate me. They're like, "Oh, why this guy is on the podcast again?"
No, I mean, I
They
think they
want to hear.
really enjoy just getting someone else's opinions on, the state of my team, whether we're talking about my team or we're talking about the real NBA, whether we're talking about other topics such as, WWE, wrestling,
Yeah,
stuff like
we
that.
have to do that soon at
Yes, we do.
WrestleMania.
Yes, no, we definitely do. But it's just great to be able to get you here on the pod.
Yeah,
Good to know that we're going to be able to do more pods in the future, even if it's not as many in, my team form. But, we'll at least get more podcasts out. Harry, again, really appreciate you for taking the time to hang out. Until next time, guys, hope you guys enjoy the long form content. We'll see you guys very soon. Take care.